Mikhail Tal completely outplays Bobby Fischer in this match. In fact, I haven't seen Fischer losing like this in any game so far. So Fischer is playing with the white pieces and Tal is playing with the black pieces here. So this is the Sicilian on the board here. So after the pawns get exchanged, the knight captures the d4 pawn, knight comes to f6, and knight to c3 is played, and a6 is played in response, taking control of this square, this b5 square over here, making this the Sicilian defense nudged off variation. So bishop comes to c4, eyeing this big f7 pawn over here, and after that the pawn is pushed to e6, protecting the f7 pawn, and the bishop drop backs to b3, keeping an eye on the f7 pawn. Bishop to e7 now, activating the bishop on the king side, and pawn is pushed on f4 here, and basically Tal castles on the king side here. Queen comes to f3 now. So once this f4 move is played, you can bring your queen into the game, and then you can go castling on the king side, which is a very good move. So queen to c7, and Fischer now castles on the king side, creating this nice little battery of queen and the rook over here. So b5 now, pushing the pawn, which will allow you to fianchet this bishop if required, and after f5, attacking this pawn structure here on e6. Instead of protecting the pawn, Tal pushes b4 here, attacking the knight over here. So knight goes to a4 here, and after that, instead of going for the capture, and Fischer have good control of this f5 square, pawn is pushed to e5, keeping the pressure intact, attacking the knight over here. Then the knight goes to e2 here, and bishop now goes to b7. Very useful position, very nice active position for the bishop here, attacking this pawn twice, and it's only defended once, so it needs protection. And knight goes to g3, protecting this pawn, and a knight comes to d7 now. So here bishop comes to e3 here, creating pressure over this b6 square, and also covering this dark square diagonal in which the king is there, which is a little bit exposed right now. So and creating pressure on this particular square as well. So bishop goes to c6 here, and bishop drop back to f2 by Fischer, and queen goes to b7, again creating more pressure on this pawn. So the idea for this bishop to go here is to bring the queen over here, which will avoid this threat, and also create this triple attack over here over this pawn, which need more protection. And the rook comes to e1, protecting the pawn, and the pawn is pushed to d5, again attacking the pawn here. So the pawn is captured, and the knight captures this pawn back, and knight to e4 is played here, because there's a discovered attack on the queen, and it's covered with this knight, and this knight is already protected twice with the queen and the rook. So knight to f4 is now played, using this pawn as an outpost, keeping this knight in this very nice little square on the king side, which makes this knight a very dangerous piece. And c4 is now played here. So instead, Fischer's best move would be to bring your bishop over here and attack this knight, but c4 is played, and pawn is pushed to g6 by Tal, and Fischer goes for the capture, and instead of recapturing, Tal pushes f5 here, attacking that knight over here. So instead of protecting, Fischer just pushed g7, attacking the rook instead. So this pawn is captured with the king, and the queen creates a check on g3, and after that the king goes to h8 over here. So knight goes to c5, attacking the queen. So the knight captures the knight, and the knight captures back. That was the best move actually, but the bishop captures here first. The knight capturing back was the best move. So the bishop captures the bishop, and knight captures back, attacking the queen over here. So queen goes to c7 is a mistake, basically because the knight can jump in over here, and it can basically fork both the rook and the queen at the same time. But Fischer didn't go for that, and he bring his queen to e3 over here. The best move would be to bring your knight over here in this scenario. So rook comes to e8 now, and now this particular pawn is also exposed of that, and so the rook goes to e2 by Fischer, trying to protect this pawn over here. So there's no other better move than to bring your rook over here. So the knight captures the rook like this with a check, and the queen captures back, and after which there is a discovered capture of this pawn over here, which exposes the king as well. So here this knight could be is hanging basically. If you capture here, you'll get the knight the piece back. This is a very nice little bishop, and so instead of going for the capture, the knight goes ahead and capture the pawn over here with an attack on the queen over here. So here Tal goes to a7 with a check, and now the king Fischer captures the bishop, and instead of immediately capturing this knight over here, rook comes to g8 with a check, and now this queen over here is retreating. You cannot go over here, and there's only one good square. If you go here, the rook will go over here, and it will be game over. So you'll have to bring your king into h3, which is the only square. And now instead of capturing the knight, queen go to g7, cutting off. It's a battery on this particular g file. You cannot bring any of your pieces here. It will be captured, and it's also threatening checkmate like this. There won't be anything you can do. You can block with your queen, but it will be game over in the next move. So because of that, bishop comes to d1, and now rook comes to e6 in this position, and in the next move the rook will come over here, and no matter what you do, it will be game over here. So because of this, basically Fischer resigned as of this position. So no matter what you do here, the game will be over. So the rook will come over here. It will be checkmate. If you're trying to bring any other pieces like over here, the checkmate, you can just bring your queen over here, and after the king moves, so you can just capture this pawn, and it will be game over as well. So because of that, Tal won the match here. Fischer resigned the game as of this position. So thanks for watching. Great game. I have never seen Bobby Fischer losing like this, that too against Tal. So thanks for watching. We'll be back with more such videos.